Hello friends, welcome to Into Fly Fishing. I'm out here on the water right now, ready to go to test out this brand new Aventik Riverbend fly rod. So here we go. All right, thanks for joining us. I'm Nick Jovanovich. This is Into Fly Fishing. Really appreciate you being here. Like I said, I'm out here on the water. I'm set up already. I just got it put together, this brand new Aventik Riverbend fly rod. This is an 8.5-foot model, 5-weight, 4-piece fly rod. Look at that beautiful green color. Very cool, very fresh. Just got it put together. So I can't wait to get this thing tested out and give you guys a report on what I find. Before we get started though, if you don't mind, please like this video, follow this channel. We really appreciate it. Anything you guys do to support us helps out big time. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and yes, a lot of money to put this together for you. Now, we love doing it and we want to keep doing it. So anything you can do to support us is a big help. Thank you very much. Also, anything you see in the video today, especially this rod here, we'll have links in the description for you below. That also helps us out in a big way, and we can keep doing this for you. Now, on to the review. Just a little bit about how we run our tests on these rods. So, of course, we went to Aventik's website. We went to the places that the stats are all listed, took note of those stats, and then we go home. When we get the rod, we do our own weighing and our own measuring. Okay, that's one way we do things. Also, we do some casting at home. We do it out in the grass and the lawn, and we come out here to the river to see how it operates in real time as well. So here we are. We're going to set up different targets at different lengths, build up different casting scenarios, and see how it performs in all those different scenarios and at different lengths. First thing, let's take a look at the stats on the rod. Again, this is an 8.5-foot, so about 6 inches, exactly 6 inches shorter than what you would call a standard rod. 5-weight, pretty middle of the road, great trout rod for pretty much anywhere in the U.S., and 4-piece, so great breakdown for travel. Let's see, we're out here in winter, and I think don't mind that bobber there, but we've got the dots there. Can I get that thing to focus? So we call those dummy dots, but lovingly, I need them to. Helps you put each section together and make sure all your eyelets are aligned all the way down and aligned with the reel. The reel seat itself, this is a corrosion resistant alloy. It's an aluminum reel seat. It's real pretty on this one though. It is a black color, and it's got a bit of bluing to it though. So it's real beautiful. Double locking reel seat. So you got 2 locking nuts on this thing. It's a forward push locker, but you got the first screw there to lock it in place. Then you have a washer in between both of those, and then the second locking nut too. So I kind of like this system. For a lower price rod, I really think that's going to do well to keep that reel nice and tight in there. And tight it is. I've got it paired up with my Redington Run 5-weight reel here, and it locks in there pretty good. Next thing to note is going to be the cork handle. So we've got no fighting butt on this thing, which is pretty typical for a 5-weight. Usually when you get into 6 or higher, you'll start getting those fighting butts. But it's a double well shape, so you got the flare at both ends, nice ergonomic bump in the middle, and it's a composite cork, so you can kind of see those little sections of cork that are cut into strips and then put together on this thing, kind of glued and sanded together. So it's not one-piece cork, typical on a lower price rod, not a big deal, but it actually looks pretty good and it feels nice as well. Now let's talk about the blank itself. This is a graphite carbon fiber rod. It's got a couple of different layers that goes in different directions to to add strength, and they say this is 20% lighter and even stronger than their traditional rods with the way that they lay out this carbon fiber. Now in the second section, you're going to have 2 stripping guides. First section, there is no guide, but you do have this little hook rest right here, right in front of the cork. Then you've got, on the second section, you got your 2 stripping guides here. Those are corrosion resistant alloy with the ceramic insert to allow your line to glide nice and smooth. And then you've got your traditional snake guides going down all the way to that loop end tip there. So pretty traditional setup. Everything looks pretty good. The only thing I can say about it is that first stripping guide, I think it should be a little bit bigger. This one's kind of small. It probably works fine, especially on a lower end rod, but I do like mine to be just a little bit bigger than that one. It's not much bigger than the second one there. See if I can get that in there. Doesn't even look like it's bigger, but this one is a little bit bigger than number 2. This guy weighs in at 3.2 ounces. That's of course without the reel, just the rod itself, and which is totally fine. It's a pretty light feeling rod. Remember, it is 6 inches shorter than your quote unquote standard, so that will save some weight, but it really does feel nice in the hand. The grip on the cork is really nice as well. Couldn't find any swing weight ratings listed anywhere, so we're gonna go test that out and see how it does. And it's listed as a fast action fly rod, which is pretty typical of a modern fly rod, to be fairly stiff through the butt section and flex more toward the tip versus the middle of the rod, making it a faster action rod. With my powerful casting technique and my preference to push it a little bit, fast action usually works out a little bit better. I know I need to be a little bit more patient when fishing a moderate or slower action rod, so you can kind of force and push these things a little bit further when it's a fast action rod. All right, now that I've gotten some fishing done with this thing, it's time to just get out here in the open and do some casting. I've got some targets that I've got picked out, set up at 20 feet, 30, 45, 50, 65, and 75 plus. So we're gonna see how this thing does at those different distances, and yeah, we'll let you know what happens. Just a note on fishing this thing, I noticed that I was struggling a little bit with the slightly shorter length, 8.5 foot versus a traditional 9-foot rod. That's typical out here in the Western US, where you're used to using 9-foot, 9.5, or even 10-foot rods. So the physics of the cast is a little bit different. I had to get used to it, and that's normal. It was really nice in this tight cover down here. I was making some roll casts, and the shorter length helped me fit into tighter spots, which is really nice. I will tell you that it does have a nice backbone. Now, there is some good stiffness on this thing. I was able to punch through a little bit. I would say that is a fairly fast flex. You get a little bit of flex in the tip. It really did some nice casting with an indicator and a little bit of weight. It's winter, so it's kind of a heavy setup. Roll casting was actually pretty nice with this. Of course, with that shortened length, you're not going to get as big of a reach when you're doing your men's. So that's going to be a little bit of a drawback, but understood at this length. Fit well into the tight cover, good backbone, decent turnover with the cast and the roll casts, and not great as far as the reach for the men. But let's get some distance shots out here and see what happens. All right, let's see how this goes. I'm trying not to pull or haul with my left hand. I'm trying to use the rod only. At 30 feet, the ability of the rod really started to shine. It was pretty easy to make a pretty accurate cast and turnover. 45 feet, same story. Good backbone, good punch, a nice turnover with the line. I was a little bit worried at a 60-foot cast that this rod wouldn't have enough, but it still feels pretty comfortable. Doesn't seem to be too much trouble at all, really. It's turning over fairly nicely. There's a little bit of a lack. I can tell the lack of the rod length. That extra 6 inches that you would have is now missing, and I can definitely feel that. But I'm kind of impressed with what's going on here at distance. Get it measured up here. Okay, here we go. Okay, 70, 75 plus range. It can be done. It's just not super pretty. There you have it. I really liked that 40 to 60 foot range on this thing. Casting, not too bad. That stiff backbone really helps out. A little bit of flex in the tip. Yeah, things are rolling over fairly nicely. Okay, I like it. I've had a good time with this Aventik Riverbend 8'6", 5-weight, 4-piece rod out here, and done some fishing, caught a few fish, and done some distance casting on this. And I have to say, this thing comes in at the time of this recording, right? I think at 54 bucks, 54 bucks for the rod only. And if you ask me, for that price, it's a great buy, okay? And there's some caveats here that I want to talk about. Of course, you got a quality rod for the price, okay? I'm enjoying casting this. I like the shorter length. It's something that I don't really have in the arsenal for tight cover, which is great. Now I can add this to the arsenal. That 5-weight is that nice middle of the road, do it all kind of a rod. You can't compare something like this to a high-end rod. Those high-end rods are just going to have a lot of technology, a lot of expensive materials used. You know, I can't compare this to a $1,000 rod. It's hard to compare this to a $500 rod. A $100 rod maybe, and I think I'd put this up there with a $100 rod. Any of those higher end rods are just going to have too much technology. You'll feel the cast a lot better, and there's recovery time that's a little bit better in those things. But who's it for? This is for a newer caster, okay? Anybody who's new to fly fishing that wants a decent rod and doesn't want to break the bank, go ahead and get yourself this rod, all right? I actually like this one. I did a review on the combo. I want to say it's like the Extreme Combo or something like that. I like this rod itself, the Riverbend, better than I like that rod. It casts a little bit nicer. I'd like to try this one out in a 9-foot, 5-weight, 9-foot, 6-weight, and see how it does. Maybe even like a 9-weight, 9-foot saltwater version and see how it does. But beginners, somebody who needs a couple of rods and doesn't want to break the bank again, somebody who's newer in their fly fishing journey and wants to add one of these slightly shorter rods for tighter cover, that's who might want to do this kind of thing. And yeah, I'm impressed with it for the money. Again, I think I told you I have this one paired with my Redington Run reel. I think that's a good pairing. The lightness of this rod and the shortness, I might actually want to go with a slightly lighter reel. If I'm being completely honest, it's not terrible at all. And of course you have some physics going on. A heavier reel matches kind of the speed of the tip as you're making your cast. So a heavier reel isn't necessarily a bad thing. It kind of helps even things out as you're making your cast. But I would like to try it with a slightly lighter reel. I've got the Rio Gold 5-weight line on here. I think that's a really good match as well. So if you're looking for a combo that's not going to break the bank, you can get a Redington Run and get some Rio line. You could even drop down in price on something like this Redington, and even drop down in price on something like this Rio line as well, just to save you a little bit. But it's working out pretty well for me. Well, folks, I hope you like this presentation on the Aventik Riverbend 8.5-foot 5-weight fly rod. I've been impressed again with how well this thing did and for how little it costs. I'm going to get some more fishing done here. So we appreciate you again. Like this video, follow us on all the social media channels. It really, really makes a big difference. It helps us out. We want to keep doing this for you. The products, links are in the description below. Click those links. That helps us out. We'll keep bringing you this information. We'll keep having a good time together. Hope to see you back soon. Really appreciate you. I'm Nick Jovanovich. Take care until next time.